Magdalena and Louis, Guitar and Violin, Evening Sway, is a serene and poetic interlude recorded at the 2005 Mexico Rainbow Gathering in the lush Sierra de los Tuxes region. The piece pairs Magdalena's violin with Louis' guitar, creating an intimate duet that mirrors the rhythm of dusk settling over the rainforest. Framed as a sound trail diversion, it invites the listener to slow down and surrender to the quiet elegance of sound as meditation. Tenali complements the track with a short poem, I offer my hand to the evening air, to the cracked bells and verdant poems, to the leaves in the moonlight. Evoking the sacred stillness of twilight and the unseen threads that bind nature, sound, and spirit. The accompanying quotation, inspiration snuggled between quotations does not a palindrome make, underscores the playful yet reflective tone of the work. Ultimately, the section embodies the rainbow ethos of harmony, simplicity, and reverence for the living world, where every note feels like a prayer drifting through moonlit trees. Toucheth not thy thing too. The Thing is a humorous and ritualistic vignette that blends everyday practicality with playful spirituality. Set at the main circle during dinner, it describes the communal mealtime routine, friends gathering, checking their bowls and utensils, affectionately called blissware before joining in a unifying uam. As the meal begins, a food server breaks into a rhythmic chant, Don't touch your thing to the thing, thou shalt not make innards ring, repeated mantra like in a tone both instructive and absurd. The refrain humorously enforces hygienic etiquette, reminding diners to avoid cross-contamination while transforming sanitation into song. Illustrated by Bondan Pandusiwi, the piece captures the Rainbow family's ability to turn mundane acts, like hand-washing and mealtime manners, into communal ritual, blending reverence, humor, and the sacred silliness that defines the gathering's ethos of shared care and consciousness. Brian, Poetry in Motion captures the electric energy of a 2004 California Rainbow Gathering open mic night at Granola Funk, where the performer, Brian, delivers a dynamic, improvisational spoken word piece that fuses philosophy, rhythm, and humor. His poem, described as epic and performed under a nearly full moon, celebrates diversity, freedom, and creative self-expression. Alternating between playful rhymes and spiritual insight, Brian weaves a verbal spell, denouncing conformity and exalting imagination as liberation. The motion of poetry will set you free. Tenali intersperses Brian's lines with Dadaist reflections, likening the performance to magnetic poetry in motion. The piece ranges from witty, stand-up style delivery to transcendental imagery, invoking ancient myths, activism, and cosmic play. Ultimately, it becomes both a tribute to poetry as lived experience and a manifesto for creative resistance, embodying the Rainbow family's ethos that art, like love, is an act of freedom and connection. Interdimensional Be-In is a brief, contemplative passage accompanied by artwork by Surreal Eism. It describes a moment at Tiny Camp where the narrator discovers a piece of cardboard inscribed with a philosophical reflection, the self is a relative fabrication, a construct in a sea of objective selflessness. This discovery leads to an existential realization that identity and perception are fluid, interconnected, and mutually constructed. The passage frames this awareness as an interdimensional experience, a metaphorical crossing into a state where all beings and realities are malleable and co-created. Ultimately, it calls for transformation through creative and compassionate participation in this shared, ever-changing reality. If it is all a mutual construct, let us make it more beautiful. Transformation awaits. G-Funk Collective, Real Magic recounts a vibrant, improvised musical collaboration recorded at the 2009 New Mexico Annual Rainbow Gathering near Cuba, New Mexico. The piece opens with a humorous parable about everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody, setting a playful yet philosophical tone about shared responsibility and collective action. The narrative then shifts to describe the Granola Funk Super Dance Party Prom Revolution, an exuberant event where dozens of musicians gathered spontaneously, blending instruments like horns, banjos, harmoniums, and a megaphone under the coordination of Aslan Wakan, who served as a conductor and unifying force. The track Real Magic captures the essence of this collective creativity, a 6-minute fusion of groove, improvisation, and communal listening that transforms sound into ritual. Through its evolving layers of rhythm and spontaneous collaboration, the piece symbolizes the rainbow family's ethos, that true magic arises when individual expression merges into shared, harmonious creation. The Magic Hat celebrates the rainbow family's spirit of generosity, communal support, and giving from the heart. Accompanied by artwork from DWI Bogus, it opens with playful aphorisms about kindness. No exercise is better for the heart than reaching down and lifting people up, and ain't no city like generosity, ain't no nation like a donation, framing giving as a joyful and reciprocal act. The Magic Hat, a literal collection passed around during the nightly dinner circle, symbolizes the rainbow ethos that money, like love, gains meaning only when shared. The section concludes with lines from the song Deep Inside My Heart, often sung during the Magic Hat Parade, affirming that inner light and abundance grow through giving. The more that I give, the more I've got to give. Altogether, this passage portrays the Magic Hat as both a practical community tool and a spiritual metaphor for interconnection and abundance. Everyone, Trippin' Rainbow recounts a lively and mischievous musical episode recorded at the 2006 Colorado Annual Rainbow Gathering. Set at the Granola Funk Theater, which that year took the form of a pirate ship stage, the story follows a playful rivalry between two camps, Tea Time and Granola Funk, after someone stealthily borrowed one of Tea Time's sacred horns. What began as a prank evolved into a joyous sea shanty-style performance, with the horn becoming a centerpiece for laughter, music, and collective improvisation. The resulting track, Trippin' Rainbow, captures the chaos, humor, and togetherness that define rainbow gatherings, spontaneous art born from communal play. Beneath the revelry, the piece embodies the gathering's deeper spirit, how creativity, cooperation, and a touch of mischief can transform simple moments into lasting expressions of shared joy and sound magic. Attentionoit Netta is a brief but evocative interlude that plays on the reversal of the word attention to emphasize self-awareness and mindfulness. Accompanied by artwork from Dewa Dopers Parta and Suzeth Dressensmith, it opens with a quote from Sensei Lanwar Fenwar, admonishing the reader to quiet mental distractions. Your thinkin' is bothering your mind with desire. So go, I say, go away thoughts, you as useless as the clang of suffering on a hot tin roof. This poetic command functions as a humorous yet sincere meditation on detachment, an invitation to notice how thought and desire create noise that obscures clarity. Like many transitional half-trails in the book, Attentionoit Netta serves as a reflective pause between sound journeys, encouraging the reader-listener to turn inward, still the mind, and realign awareness with the living moment. The Tea Fairy, Mama Festa, tells the deeply personal and origin story of a piece written by the Tea Fairy, a psychedelic writer, performer, and longtime rainbow participant. Originally composed during a 1999 Pennsylvania rainbow gathering under the influence of psilocybin mushrooms and LSD, the Mama Festa began as a spontaneous, written prayer to her ancestral grandmother, an act of communion that replaced traditional prayer with creative expression. Though initially forgotten, the writing resurfaced a year later when it was transcribed and published anonymously in Always Free, profoundly shaping the Tea Fairy's sense of purpose and awakening her vocation as a writer of psychedelic reflections. Recorded anew at the 2022 Colorado Annual Rainbow Gathering, the piece merges mysticism, self-revelation, and community continuity, affirming love and creativity as guiding forces. Its accompanying quote, "Love is here to tell us that everything is going to be okay," encapsulates the section's enduring message of faith in connection, transformation, and the creative spirit. Midway Trail Mix, as a treat, is a whimsical and self-reflective interlude that blends surreal imagery with meta-narrative play. Illustrated by D.S.O. Ilardi, it describes the reader arriving on a musing trail outside time at the crossroads of space, where an elegant elk appears and drops a familiar book, a symbolic reminder of cyclical storytelling and self-awareness. As the narrator flips through its pages, they realize that they are a story within a story within a story, an infinite loop of creation and perception. This moment of recursive revelation becomes both humorous and profound, suggesting that the act of reading, remembering, or participating in art is itself part of a timeless continuum. The scene closes with a playful return back inside time, emphasizing the theme of fluid boundaries between imagination and reality and celebrating the Rainbow Family's ethos of creativity as both journey and destination. Tara Taura, Reunite is a reflective and heartfelt vignette about connection, memory, and music's power to unify. Recorded at the 2004 California Annual Rainbow Gathering, likely in Modoc National Forest, the piece centers on a late-night campfire session at a newly formed camp called Popcorner, where musician Tara Taura performed the song Reunite. The narrative recalls earlier encounters with Tara at the 2004 World Rainbow Gathering in Costa Rica, blending scenes of coffee-fueled morning musings and creative exchanges. As the song plays under a waning full moon, its melody evokes a profound sense of unity and peace, a utopic firmament radiated all around. The lyrics, "'Cause it's time for all of us to reunite. To realize who we are under the moon and stars," become both an anthem and a prayer for reconnection. The author reflects on how, even as the idealism of the 1960s faded, rainbow gatherings continue to rekindle human togetherness through music, memory, and shared intention. Various, the hula hoop drum is a vivid poetic meditation on rhythm and embodiment, recorded at the 2010 Pennsylvania Annual Rainbow Gathering during the Granola Funk July 4th variety show. Presented as a sound trail diversion, the piece anthropomorphizes a drum that breaks the fourth wall, speaking directly to the listener as a spirit of vitality and rhythm. Through lyrical prose, the drum declares itself the heartbeat of creation, the polyrhythm of existence, and the force that connects spirit and body, a guide for dancers, dreamers, and anyone seeking renewal through movement and sound. Its words, "I am the soul that beats the heart. I am the cadence," inspiring change, transform drumming into a metaphor for life's cyclical motion, balance, and resilience. The passage culminates in an onomatopoeic flourish, tat-ta-tat-ta, boom-da-boom-boom, thump-thump-ba-bump, turning language into rhythm itself, embodying the Rainbow Family's fusion of art, sound, and spiritual communion. Yusuf, Song for Peace recounts a moving communal performance recorded at the Jerusalem camp during a rainbow gathering. The scene unfolds on a muddy night as dozens of participants, drawn together by food, music, and spirit, join around a fire after a procession from the main circle. Musician Yusuf introduces Song for Peace, a simple yet powerful Hebrew chant meaning "We will build Jerusalem, the holy city, in our days." As he sings, the crowd gradually joins in, their voices rising with the heartbeat pulse of drums, transforming the moment into a shared prayer for unity. The recording captures this fusion of reverence and humanity, laughter, movement, and the rhythmic flow of life surrounding the sacred intent of peace. The author reflects that within the circle, sound became sanctuary, a testament to how music can transcend language and belief, embodying the rainbow ethos of harmony through togetherness. Diggin' a Shitter is a humorous and earthy celebration of one of the Rainbow Gathering's most essential communal tasks, digging latrines, or shitters. Presented as a parody sea shanty titled Musing from the Necessarium, it transforms sanitation work into a rhythmic, cheerful labor song. The lyrics, repeating lines like "Diggin' a shitter, dig," echo traditional work chants such as "Haul on the Bowline," reimagined in the context of rainbow life. The piece, accompanied by art from Ikrar and Shea's timeless tune, underscores the spirit of cooperation, practicality, and humor that pervades the gatherings. Even mundane tasks become opportunities for song, rhythm, and shared joy. Beneath its playfulness, it reinforces a core rainbow ethic, communal responsibility, ecological care, and the dignity of shared labor. Sandhill Cranes at Slater Park captures a spontaneous field recording made at the 2022 Colorado Annual Rainbow Gathering in Slater Park, near Hayden and Craig. While exploring the area around Handycamp, the author set out to record frogs but instead stumbled upon the haunting, trumpet-like calls of sandhill cranes echoing through the valley. The encounter, described as ancient, almost prehistoric, became a moment of awe as the cranes' voices reverberated across hills and meadows, accompanied by a swelling chorus of frogs. Following a brief rainstorm, a spectacular series of 5 rainbows appeared, culminating what the author calls the Slater Park Nature Symphony Orchestra. Reflecting on the experience, they express deep reverence for nature's inherent music, suggesting that careful listening cultivates ecological awareness and gratitude. The section closes with poetic appreciation. Soar on, you glorious trumpeters, soar on, a tribute to the crane's beauty and the transcendent harmony of the natural world. Woe is a short, transitional piece paired with artwork by Jesus Velázquez. It follows the reflective calm of sandhill cranes at Slater Park and serves as a brief philosophical and tonal pivot before the next musical entry. The text playfully invokes the rhythm of earlier meditations, featuring a cryptic admonition to avoid idleness and deception. Liars lie with the lies in need of lie. Resist the colossal pull of idleness. This functions as a moral and creative reminder to stay awake, active, and engaged in one's purpose. Stylistically, Woe reads like a campfire koan or parable, balancing humor and seriousness while embodying the rainbow ethos of mindful action, that spiritual awareness must be grounded in doing. It closes with guidance to the reader to choose their next sound trail, reinforcing the book's interactive, choose-your-own-adventure format. Henry the Fiddler, Rainbow Way recounts the joyful evolution of a beloved rainbow gathering tradition. Recorded at the 2001 Idaho Annual Rainbow Gathering near Stanley, Idaho, the track is a reinterpretation of the Zulu song Mbube, The Lion Sleeps Tonight, first popularized globally through folk and pop covers. Musician Henry the Fiddler transformed the tune during a 1979 Arizona Rainbow Gathering, morphing its refrain into Way Up Joy. Rainbow Way. A symbolic expression of collective harmony and play. Over the decades, Rainbow Way became a July 4th granola funk tradition, performed by vast impromptu choirs led by Henry as both conductor and fiddler. The 2001 version captures hundreds of voices and instruments merging in exuberant, imperfect unity, embodying the gathering's ethos that joy, not precision, is the purpose of song. The section closes with anecdotes about Henry's connection to Pete Seeger, who admired the recording, affirming Rainbow Way as a living link between folk heritage, spontaneous creativity, and the enduring spirit of communal music making. Community Fires is a concise and practical interlude emphasizing fire safety and communal responsibility at rainbow gatherings. Accompanied by artwork from Seuss Ideas, it features guidance from Sprout Safety First Flowwalker, who reminds participants to always keep a 5-gallon bucket of water or dirt and a shovel near fires, line pits with rocks, and avoid digging holes that can lead to dangerous root fires. The passage discourages personal fires, which cause excess smoke and complicate cleanup, encouraging instead the use of shared community fires, a metaphor for both ecological mindfulness and collective care. Flowwalker's closing thank you, family, for doing your part in keeping the community safe, reinforces a core rainbow value. Individual awareness sustains communal harmony and environmental stewardship. Hella Regenerate and Noah, Mom Says No recounts a charming, humorous performance recorded at the 2010 Pennsylvania Annual Rainbow Gathering in the Allegheny National Forest. The song, performed late at night at Granola Funk's singer-songwriter/open mic, blends playful children's song energy with satirical wit. Featuring Helen Regenerate on ukulele and vocals, Noah on backing vocals, and an anonymous guitarist, Mom Says No humorously portrays childhood desires clashing with parental wisdom, wanting fast food, video games, and junk food while Mom says no. Yet beneath the humor, the lyrics carry gentle lessons about nonviolence, kindness, health, anti-commercialism, and respect for others. The narrator praises the piece as a paragon tune for children of all ages, embodying innocence and timeless moral playfulness. The recording, full of laughter, sound effects, and joyful banter, captures the Rainbow family's intergenerational spirit, where music becomes a bridge between youthful wonder and conscious living. Cook's Law is a short, humorous philosophical interlude accompanied by artwork from Dickie Hanafi. It introduces an unofficial law born from the Rainbow Gathering kitchen culture. It will always take 20 minutes before food or beverage is ready to be served, regardless of one's belief in time's existence or the means by which it is measured. This playful maxim, derived from the adage "those who do the cooking say how the cooking gets done," reflects the Rainbow ethos of patience, communal trust, and the flexible relationship with time that defines gathering life. The section functions both as comic relief and gentle wisdom, reminding readers that nourishment, like creativity and community, unfolds on its own organic schedule. Marty Lewin the Mime, Old Man and the Bird documents a live performance by Marty Lewin the Mime at the 2019 Wisconsin Annual Rainbow Gathering in the Cheekmagong-Nicolet National Forest during the Granola Funk Variety Show. Introduced with a poetic reflection from Wei Ying Wu, "Yet everything must begin in silence, and into silence it vanishes." The piece explores the intersection of silence, movement, and sound. The performance unfolds as a wordless narrative about an old man and a bird, charting moments of awakening, tenderness, and transformation, culminating in the old man's symbolic union with the bird. Through carefully timed gestures, audience reactions, and environmental sounds, the mime evokes a meditation on creation, empathy, and impermanence. The recording's layered timestamps reveal how silence itself becomes the stage, turning absence into presence and gesture into story, a reflection of listening as an act of creation central to the Rainbow Gathering ethos. The World Tree is a short, mystical interlude illustrated by Priya Designer. It describes the traveler arriving at the center of the world, where the World Tree stands as a cosmic axis linking heaven, earth, and the underworld. The narrator encounters Nixiok the Nemophilist, a forest dweller resting against the tree, who silently invites them to sit and listen. As the wind rustles through the leaves, the tree imparts wordless wisdom about the balance between knowing and not knowing, holding dreams, hopes, and mysteries in its branches. The moment is meditative and timeless, an allegory for stillness, interconnectedness, and the quiet power of nature as teacher. The scene invites readers to pause, breathe, and receive insight from the living world, echoing the Rainbow Gathering's ethos of harmony between self, spirit, and the earth. PSA: Only You Can Prevent Crushing Tinies is a brief, humorous, and heartfelt public service announcement that blends environmental mindfulness with rainbow whimsy. Illustrated by 7Arts Media and Shirley Spatula Small, the passage describes mindful Malaka handing the reader a sign to post above a map that reads, "Careful, tiny camp ahead, tread tinily." The tinies are symbolic of delicate life, both literal, small creatures, seedlings, and camps, and metaphorical, fragile moments, young ideas, or gentle souls. The PSA echoes the classic Smokey Bear slogan but transforms it into an ecological and spiritual message: to walk gently, remain aware of one's impact, and preserve the beauty and balance of shared spaces. Its playful tone underscores a deeper rainbow ethic, that awareness, care, and humor are all part of environmental stewardship and communal harmony. Rich in spirit, It's All About the Ball captures a lively, comedic, and philosophical performance by Rich in Spirit, recorded during the July 4th Variety Show at Granola Funk at the 2011 Washington Annual Rainbow Gathering in the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest. The song, a joyful ode to dogs and their sacred devotion to play, turns the simple act of fetch into an allegory for mindfulness and presence. Rich's catchy refrain, "It's all about the ball," becomes a mantra about focusing on what truly matters, contrasting canine joy and simplicity with human distraction, greed, and worry. The narrative humorously anthropomorphizes dogs as spiritual teachers, equating the ball with enlightenment. The ball is holy. The ball is divine. The ball is sacred. With audience participation, laughter, and playful philosophical asides, the piece embodies the Rainbow family's ethos of humor, love, and community, reminding listeners that play, connection, and attention to the present moment are forms of sacred practice. Fantuzzi, Spirit of Love recounts a lively, heart-centered performance by Fantuzzi, a charismatic musician and longtime Rainbow Gathering icon, recorded at the 2006 Colorado Annual Rainbow Gathering near Clark in the Medicine Bow Route National Forest. Set around a bustling campfire at Popcorner Camp, where popcorn, chai, and laughter flowed freely, the scene unfolds as an impromptu jam session featuring guitars, marimbas, horns, and voices rising together under the stars. Fantuzzi, known for his radiant energy and gift for uniting crowds, leads the song Spirit of Love, which he says came to him in a dream carrying the message, "Get out of your own way and let the spirit of love move you along." Midway through, a trombone player wanders in, drawn by the sound, adding spontaneous bone toots that perfectly complete the ensemble, an emblem of the serendipitous creativity that defines rainbow life. The performance, full of laughter, energy, and community harmony, encapsulates the spirit of spontaneous connection, joyful participation, and love transcending fear that lies at the heart of the rainbow gathering ethos. Various Gefunksters, She Feeds Me is a brief, poetic interlude that blends performance art, ecological reverence, and mythic imagery. Recorded at Granola Funk Theater during the 2005 West Virginia Annual Rainbow Gathering in the Monongahela National Forest, the piece, accompanied by art from Trixie the Orb Tree, celebrates the living cycles of nature through ritualized verse and metaphor. Introduced by the character Phenomena Phoenicia's inviting listeners to step right up and see how the sorcery of petals is compost for the curtain's next scene, the track unfolds like a microcosmic creation myth, describing life stirring in damp earth and time's roots unstuck. The song and its imagery fuse organic regeneration with theatrical spectacle, embodying the rainbow ethos that art, ecology, and spirit are inseparable acts of renewal and co-creation. Wash Your Hands playfully transforms a routine act of hygiene into a communal musical celebration. Set at Sanitation Times, Come On Kitchen, the vignette begins with a group of volunteers preparing to serve food when someone reminds them of the vital first step, washing their hands. This simple moment unfolds into a lively a cappella rendition of the sea shanty Blow the Man Down, rewritten with new lyrics about cleanliness and care. Through verses like, Come all ye gatherers that wish to serve tea, for us, wash your hands now, the group humorously but sincerely promotes good sanitation practices. The song becomes a joyful ritual of responsibility and togetherness, embodying the rainbow ethos of cooperation, health, and play. What could have been a mundane reminder turns instead into a spirited reminder that service, song, and mindfulness are all part of communal harmony. Poetic nightjar species, otherworldly nightbirds Take 1 is a meditative reflection on sound, nature, and the art of listening. Recorded at the 2005 Mexico Rainbow Gathering in the Sierra de los Tuxtlas near Catemaco, the piece captures the haunting nocturnal calls of the common poetic, a species of nightjar whose eerie, operatic song had long eluded identification by the recordist. Through patient listening and later research using the Cornell Lab of Ornithology and Xenocanto archives, the mystery of the bird's wee-o-and-oo-wee air calls is solved, yet its mystique remains intact. The author describes sitting alone on a rock in the moonlit meadow, surrounded by crickets and faint human laughter, as the poetic's echoing voice evokes existential pronoia, a sense of cosmic benevolence woven into the soundscape. The entry ends with a lyrical poem likening birdsong to threads of stardust and sound, suggesting that deep listening reveals the unity between self, nature, and vibration, a kind of psychoacoustic communion with the wild. Ilori, Who Decides What Silence Is, captures a contemplative and emotionally resonant performance recorded at the 2016 Vermont Annual Rainbow Gathering during the NYC Purple Gang open mic in the Green Mountain National Forest. As Ilori begins to strum her guitar under firefly-lit skies, her song unfolds as a poetic inquiry into empathy, relationality, and moral perception. Through lyrics such as We will be remembered by what we do to each other and the haunting refrain Who decides what violence is? What silence is? She invites the audience to reflect on how human connection and communication shape reality itself. The performance blurs boundaries between performer and listener, evoking a shared meditation on awareness and responsibility. As the song fades into the ambient sounds of the forest and the murmurs of a distant crowd, the moment becomes an oral prayer for compassionate listening, a reminder that silence, like violence, is a matter of perception and choice. Down, Slow Down is a brief, introspective interlude reminding readers to pause and reconnect with presence. Illustrated by Nora Yaki, it opens with a light-hearted metaphor, being as busy as a mosquito at a nude beach to describe modern distraction and haste. As the traveler rushes through the forest, missing its beauty, nature intervenes, a crow caws, and a nearby figure calls out, Sluwao down nen. This humorous yet profound moment becomes a wake-up call to mindfulness. The section captures the rainbow gathering ethos of simplicity and awareness, urging one to attune to natural rhythms, breathe deeply, and experience the world without rushing past it. It functions as both a spiritual pause and a meta-commentary on the book's nonlinear journey, an invitation to decelerate and listen, both to the outer world and to oneself. Emerald Otter and Pedro, The World is Waiting for the Sunrise is a heartfelt tribute to Emerald Otter, a beloved rainbow musician and friend of the author, recorded at the 2017 Oregon Annual Rainbow Gathering near John Day in the Malheur National Forest. The piece combines Otter's poetic spirit with Pedro Jackson's reflections on her creative legacy. Known for her deep belief in the historical value of the sounds from the Rainbow Project, Otter sensed her time was limited and recorded several final pieces to preserve her voice. This recording, a gentle and hopeful rendition of the classic tune The World is Waiting for the Sunrise, becomes a symbol of continuity and love, a passing of the torch through sound. Pedro's accompanying narrative, woven with Otter's original magical chant, celebrates her generosity, musical grace, and spiritual insight. The section radiates themes of transcendence, remembrance, and the enduring beauty of art born from love, a musical sunrise in its own right. Duddle and Pete, Space is a poetic, cosmic reflection on creation, storytelling, and human responsibility. Recorded on July 4 at the Granola Funk Variety Show during the 2010 Pennsylvania Annual Rainbow Gathering in the Allegheny National Forest, this performance blends Duddle's mythic spoken word narrative with Pete's percussive accompaniment on a Brazilian caixa drum. The piece traces the origin of the universe: space begets heat and light begets orgasm begets particles begets life, while exploring how sound and rhythm mirror the birth of existence itself. Duddle's words fuse science, mysticism, and humor, reminding listeners that nothingness is whence everything matters. As the tale evolves, it becomes an ecological parable for the 21st century, urging humanity to tread lightly on Earth and recognize our shared cosmic ancestry. Tread lightly on this Earth, my friends, for we all come from space. The section concludes in a swirl of wordplay, existential wit, and surreal afterthoughts, illustrating how storytelling itself is an act of creation within the vast rhythm of the universe. Uumum is a surreal and meditative transitional passage that bridges the cosmic reflections of space with the grounded intimacy of the next sound trail. Illustrated by Praz and Gut Gayenspel, it unfolds as a dreamlike encounter at Laura Folk Kitchen, where the narrator and a companion named Will O. The Wisp clean up after making stone soup. Sent to deliver compost scraps, the narrator follows a lantern through the dark forest, only for reality to dissolve into a silence as deep as an anechoic chamber. The flame begins to speak, urging, "Follow the light, follow the trail." Uumum, as the traveler transcends into other worlds and joins the circle. The scene becomes an allegory for death, transformation, and eternal return, echoing the sacred syllable OM as both a sonic and spiritual portal. Through mystical humor and sensory imagery, the section encapsulates the rainbow ethos of awakening through sound, service, and surrender to the flow of existence. Ash Tree Divine, How You Been captures a warm, nostalgic moment of musical community, recorded at the 2010 Pennsylvania Annual Rainbow Gathering during the July 4 Variety Show at Granola Funk in the Allegheny National Forest. The song, built on a playful ukulele rhythm and call and response vocals, explores themes of reconciliation, forgiveness, and enduring friendship after separation. The accompanying reflection delves into the meaning of names and identity within the rainbow family, where self and community co-create one another through play, connection, and shared imagination. The author's poem Eyes Inspect Inside deepens the emotional core, meditating on companionship's fragility and the healing power of empathy. During the live performance, the crowd joins in with found objects, cups, whistles, and footstomps, creating a spontaneous soundscape of joy and collective participation. The piece closes with Ash dedicating the final verse to Grandma and all the mothers out there, leaving a lasting sense of tenderness and unity that embodies the rainbow spirit of love, renewal, and belonging. Bismarck, Chaos is a poetic meditation on the interplay between order and disorder, recorded at the 2012 Tennessee Annual Rainbow Gathering near Cherokee National Forest. Bismarck, a spoken word performer with a deep, hypnotic voice, delivers his piece beside a crackling campfire as insects hum rhythmically in the background, creating a natural symphony that mirrors his theme. The poem explores chaos not as destruction but as a generative force necessary for balance and transformation, portraying existence as a balancing act on a crumbling wall between extremes of heat and cold, certainty and confusion. Through lyrical paradoxes and vivid imagery, chaos and order slow dance together, and alone Bismarck reveals how creativity, insight, and personal growth emerge from tension and uncertainty. The performance blurs boundaries between poetry and philosophy, reminding listeners that embracing life's unpredictability allows chaos to become clarity and confusion to transform into calm. We Love You. Reprise serves as a brief but profound emotional pause, a moment of collective gratitude and unity following the introspection of chaos. Accompanied by art from Shurapop, the section features a single reflective line, "Love just is." This minimalist phrase, attributed to a Rainbow Trail soundbite, encapsulates the essence of the Rainbow ethos: love as both presence and process, an unqualified state of being rather than something to earn or define. Acting as both refrain and reminder, this reprise echoes earlier expressions of affection woven throughout the sound trails, grounding the listener-reader in the simplicity of universal compassion before moving on to the next adventure. In tone and structure, it mirrors the rhythmic return of a musical motif, a meditative breath between stories that recenters the journey around connection, humility, and love itself. Cocle del Norte, Se Come el Mango Verde recounts a vivid and joyful memory from the 2006 Panama Rainbow Gathering, held near the remote Caribbean village of Cocle del Norte. Accessible only by boat, this lush, isolated location sets the stage for a story of community, cross-cultural connection, and music as shared celebration. The author recalls helping locals build an oven from a 55-gallon drum, exploring the wild coastline, and unexpectedly becoming the playful target of the village children. The narrative culminates in a vibrant Congo dance celebration, where villagers and rainbow gatherers merge in rhythm and laughter. The accompanying song, Se Come el Mango Verde, translated as Eat the Green Mango, a traditional Bulurengwe piece with witty double entendre lyrics, becomes an emblem of joyous collaboration and respect for underrepresented voices. Though the recording wasn't captured directly at the gathering, it features rainbow participants on drums and vocals, symbolizing love, cultural exchange, and the unifying pulse of rhythm that transcends language and place. On the Count of Three is a short, contemplative interlude that acts as a philosophical and emotional bridge between stories. Accompanied by art from Sir Cole, it features the simple yet profound Rainbow Trail soundbite, "Love is a circle within a circle." This phrase encapsulates the cyclical, interconnected nature of life and love, a recurring theme throughout the book. The passage functions as a moment of reflection and renewal, inviting readers to pause, breathe, and recognize the recurring unity that ties the Rainbow family's diverse experiences together. Positioned after the lively cross-cultural celebration of Cocle del Norte, Se Come el Mango Verde, it marks a return inward, a meditative counting down to collective harmony and presence. In its brevity and simplicity, the piece embodies the essence of the gatherings themselves, spontaneous, sacred, and centered on love as both origin and destination. Sasha Butterfly, Sunpian is a luminous reflection on connection, healing, and feminine strength woven through the song's travels across space and time. Recorded at the 2001 Idaho Annual Rainbow Gathering near Stanley in the Boise National Forest, Sasha Butterfly's song, rooted in verses like "We are wise and we are strong and we are humble and we come from the sun," becomes a mantra of empowerment and spiritual kinship. Writer Alyssa Zagong traces the song's presence through moments of her own life, playing through her Baltimore apartment stereo, sung in a temescal in Chiapas, soothing her restless child in a car, and uniting circles of women in Madison, Wisconsin, and Rock Island, Michigan. Each setting transforms the song into a vessel for grounding, breath, and transformation. Accompanied by Penelope Sunverse artwork and the quote "Love is what keeps hope alive," the piece celebrates how a simple rainbow campfire recording can ripple outward into countless lives, a radiant hymn of shared light and cyclical renewal. Record in the Field is a meta-reflective and time-bending vignette that blurs the boundaries between observer and participant, past and future. Accompanied by art from Lump Thumb Studio, it depicts a surreal moment where the narrator goes back in time until they meet the future that had already passed, witnessing the gathering sounds crew recording in the field at a rainbow gathering. A guitarist fingerpicks a smooth, melodic groove while a spoken word artist delivers a cryptic, humorous line from Diamond Dave: "Wake up and smell the coffee, the jawbone will never wake up." This short interlude encapsulates the spirit of field recording as both ritual and revelation, capturing not only sound but also the layered temporality and interconnectedness of the gatherings themselves. The passage functions as a playful loop in the book's nonlinear journey, reminding readers that in the act of listening and recording, one becomes part of the very story being documented. Circling Around Big Creek is a playful yet contemplative soundscape that blends environmental awareness, myth, and humor. Recorded at the 2011 Washington Annual Rainbow Gathering along Big Creek in the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest, the piece begins with a quote from Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha about the timeless nature of rivers, setting the tone for a meditation on flow and impermanence. The narrator then encounters Sasquatch, who delivers a birchbark water manifesto from the fictional Circling Around in Big Creek Society, a whimsical collective devoted to preserving the vitality of water and resisting cultural banality. The manifesto exalts water as both metaphor and teacher, celebrating its flexibility, power, and truth-bearing quality. The narrator's field recording, made by spinning with a microphone at sunrise, creates a literal circling of sound, mimicking the creek's motion. The section closes with reflections on time, memory, and listening, concluding with the Taoist insight: "The sound of the water says what I think." Ultimately, it's a manifesto for mindful perception, where sound becomes a ritual act of ecological reverence and playful wonder. John and Papillon, guitar plus harp instrumental 1, Repose, offers a serene and introspective pause in the broader sonic journey. Recorded at the 2005 Mexico Rainbow Gathering in the Sierra de los Tuxas near Catemaco, this piece pairs gentle guitar and harp harmonies by John and Papillon, creating an atmosphere of calm reflection and natural stillness. The short accompanying text, framed as Sound Trail Diversion 7.0 with art by Aesop Fabletale, presents the music as both a field recording and a meditative act, evoking imagery of mountains parting clouds and ripples imbuing reflection. The track's subtitle, Repose, captures its essence: a moment of rest beneath the outstretched branches of time, where sound and silence balance one another. This interlude invites listeners to breathe, listen, and reattune to the subtle rhythms of nature before continuing the trail onward. The Neckroll Jones, Beside the Fire's Dream Talk explores the mysterious and abstract beauty of ambient sound and subconscious storytelling. Recorded at Green Path Camp during the 2010 Pennsylvania Annual Rainbow Gathering in the Allegheny National Forest, the piece captures a spontaneous campfire scene in which fragments of guitar strumming, dream-sharing voices, laughter, and the eerie jingle of a mechanical clown box blend into an otherworldly sound collage. The author describes this recording as an example of aleatoric, chance-based composition, where seemingly random sounds create unintended harmony and emotional resonance. The clown box, bought for $1 at a thrift store, becomes a surreal sonic centerpiece, its unsettling jingle merging with dream recollections to form what the author calls a cubist sound painting. Through this blend of dream imagery, ambient noise, and experimental play, the piece embodies the rainbow ethos of creativity born from chaos, transforming ordinary campfire chatter into an accidental work of sound art that questions perception, memory, and meaning. Bakeaway is a light-hearted, communal parody that transforms the traditional sea shanty heave-away, me jollies into a whimsical land shanty celebrating kitchen life at the Rainbow Gathering. Illustrated by Jonah Lubian, the piece, titled Bakeaway Me Jollies, features humorous, sing-along verses about washing hands, kneading dough, and baking bread, cookies, and pizza for the community. Its repetitive refrain, "Bake away, me jollies, bake away," evokes the rhythm of labor and fellowship, capturing the joy of collective cooking as both ritual and performance. Like earlier rainbow shanties in the book, it playfully merges music, humor, and service, turning everyday work into a creative act of love and togetherness, a fitting prelude to the storytelling in the following section. Garrick Beck, The Rug Yarn from Field Recording with the Rainbow Family is both a storytelling performance and a reflection on the craft of storytelling itself. Recorded at the 2010 Pennsylvania Annual Rainbow Gathering during the July 3rd spoken word/open mic at Popcorner in the Allegheny National Forest, Garrick Beck spins a humorous and self-aware tale that plays with the double meaning of yarn as both a thread and a story. Through conversational banter, absurd asides, and detailed character gestures, like a rug seller wiping his chin, Beck builds an everyday narrative that suddenly leaps into the imaginative and surreal, blurring the line between reality and invention. This narrative shift, what he calls the jump into hyperspace, reveals storytelling's power to transform the mundane into the meaningful. The performance loops back on itself, suggesting that the listener may be sitting atop the very rug described in the tale, emphasizing the cyclical, participatory nature of stories. The piece closes with a poetic reflection likening storytelling to listening in a forest, an act of stillness, perception, and timeless presence. Groucho Sparks is a short, whimsical interlude blending humor, surrealism, and wordplay. Accompanied by artwork from Andrea Frelian and Cassim Cast Iron Chasenfalls, it features a brief quote from the titular character, Groucho Sparks, who describes finding magic spice in the supply tent before musing, "I've had perfectly wonderful words, but these aren't them." Ergo, quotes are reason gone glad. The passage serves as a playful nod to the absurd and creative spontaneity of rainbow life, an acknowledgement that meaning often arises through flow, not logic. In its brevity, Groucho Sparks acts as a palate cleanser between larger sound trails, celebrating the nonsense, improvisation, and poetic unpredictability that define both the gatherings and the book's narrative rhythm. Laughing Fox, Shapeshifter Flute celebrates the artistry and spiritual depth of Bapa Wagash, Laughing Fox, a storyteller and musician from the Red Cliff Band of Lake Superior, Ojibwa. Recorded at Story Glory during the 2019 Wisconsin Annual Rainbow Gathering in the Cheekmagong-Nicolet National Forest, the piece intertwines myth, sound, and philosophy to explore transformation and interconnectedness. Laughing Fox's haunting pentatonic flute performance, accompanied by natural ambient sounds of camp life, drums, and birds, evokes the fluid boundary between human and spirit worlds. He speaks of Winnebuzu, the Anishinaabe trickster teacher, and likens the flute to a shapeshifter itself, a voice of wind and spirit guiding listeners toward reflection and harmony. The narrative around the recording expands on the metaphor of shapeshifting as inner transformation, suggesting that growth and compassion come from learning to remake oneself while staying true to one's essence. The piece concludes with a lyrical poem reminding readers to be good to your thoughts, a gentle call to mindfulness, kindness, and creative evolution. Hey Sound Trail Coup is a poetic, introspective interlude that merges the spiritual calm of a haiku with the reflective flow of a sound trail. Illustrated by Komal Farouk Butt, the scene follows the narrator meeting a wise elder named Maple Fernmore, who gifts them a map of your soul and imparts gentle wisdom. May your heart guide the ways of your mind with kindness. We are all in this together. Inside the map lies a piece of hawthorn bark inscribed with a haiku, walking mandala, glissando from here to there, owl hoots make sound trails. The short passage captures the essence of harmony, interconnection, and mindfulness, encouraging the traveler to listen deeply, to others, to nature, and to their own heart. Like a breath between longer narratives, Hey Sound Trail Coup embodies the rainbow ethos of kindness, poetic awareness, and the sound of spirit moving through stillness. Podank, Old Sparky recounts a remarkable recording session during the 2003 Utah Annual Rainbow Gathering near Mountain View, Wyoming, where the band Podank performed amid a fierce blizzard. The storm transformed the gathering into a scene of communal endurance, snow-collapsing tents, frozen water lines, and people melting snow for survival, but also forged a spirit of cooperation and warmth around a shared campfire. Podank, a punk grass trio of upright bass, guitar, and banjo, played through the storm, their instruments constantly affected by the cold. Their song Old Sparky, sung from the perspective of a death row inmate facing execution, carried haunting poignancy. Despite the harsh weather, the group's musicianship and harmonies brought comfort and unity to those huddled around the fire. The recording captures not only the band's soulful performance but also the essence of the gathering itself, music as resilience, warmth, and shared humanity in the face of nature's extremity. Sound gathering serves as a reflective interlude, encapsulating the book's central ethos, the idea that listening is both an artistic and communal act. It bridges the intense energy of Podunk, Old Sparky with the gentler, more introspective Joylin, Sunshine Song, offering readers a moment of pause and synthesis. Sound gathering celebrates how the Rainbow Family's gatherings transform into living soundscapes, interwoven with laughter, music, conversation, and natural ambience, where every participant becomes part of an evolving symphony. Rather than focusing on a single performance, this section honors the collective act of soundmaking and listening as forms of presence, cooperation, and spiritual expression. It embodies Tenali's vision of field recording not merely as documentation but as a participatory, reverent practice of connection between people, place, and sound. Joylin, Sunshine Song recounts a radiant performance by Joylin at the 2016 Vermont Annual Rainbow Gathering, held near Mountain Tabor in the Green Mountain National Forest. Performed during the Granola Funk Variety Show, Joylin's Sunshine Song captivated the audience so completely that they called for multiple encores, leading her to play additional songs including Sweet Surrender and a heartfelt cover of Radiohead's Creep. The song, written as a message from Joylin's higher self to her lower self during a dark period in her life, became a source of healing and artistic renewal, what she described as a backwards prayer. The lyrics radiate optimism and self-compassion, urging listeners to look toward the sun and away from despair. Accompanied by glimmering accordion reflections and the warm glow of the camp's solar lights, the performance encapsulated the rainbow spirit of vulnerability, transformation, and shared light. Over time, Sunshine Song evolved musically and lyrically, continuing to guide both Joylin and her listeners toward hope and self-understanding. The Singularity of Trailside Delights is a short, poetic interlude that serves as both a reflective and transitional moment between the Sunshine Song and this old road. It features a photo by Photon Phaedra and artwork by Electron Elmer, accompanied by the playful quote, "Leave no trace," footnotes attributed to Ron Nemus. The passage encapsulates the Rainbow Family ethos of mindful wandering, creative expression, and environmental respect. It uses whimsical wordplay, turning the U into an O, and metaphorical musings about direction, transformation, and discovery to illustrate the cyclical, self-revealing nature of the rainbow journey, where each step along the trail is both a literal and spiritual delight, merging art, sound, and communal consciousness. Lydia, this old road reflects on the symbolism of the open road as both a literal and spiritual journey within rainbow culture. Recorded at the 2005 West Virginia Annual Rainbow Gathering, Lydia's performance of This Old Road is described as a tender, wistful folk ballad that captures the essence of movement, self-discovery, and transformation. The accompanying reflection expands on this theme, likening the rainbow trail to life's path, filled with uncertainty, challenge, and renewal. The author draws parallels to Walt Whitman's celebration of the open road and quotes Northern Exposure to emphasize that returning from a journey reveals how one has changed through experience. Ultimately, the section portrays the road as a metaphor for continual growth and introspection, where each traveler learns from both hardship and wonder, carrying those lessons forward into a more refined sense of self. Dream Trails is a brief, surreal reflection that blurs the boundaries between dreaming and wandering. It opens with the narrator arriving beside Memory Creek, questioning whether they were guided by a dream or a trail, and whether the trail itself might be dreaming them. Through whimsical, recursive phrasing, the passage transforms the act of reading and walking into a poetic, meditative loop where words and footsteps intertwine. The imagery, of a book gifted by an elegant elk, letter-shaped footprints forming poems, and dreamscapes unfolding into trails, captures the mystical essence of the rainbow ethos, that every journey is simultaneously internal and external, conscious and unconscious. Ultimately, Dream Trails serves as a lyrical bridge between waking experience and the imaginative landscapes that the Rainbow Family inhabits through art, sound, and communal storytelling. Rainbow the Musical, Rainbow-filled. The Sky describes the joyful and evolving stage production Rainbow the Musical, RTM, created by Paula Curtis with her husband Neha and their children. Recorded at the 2022 Colorado Annual Rainbow Gathering, the piece blends humor, folk music, and community storytelling to depict life at rainbow gatherings through skits, songs, and public service announcements about respect, consent, and ecological mindfulness. The musical's title song, Rainbow Filled the Sky, serves as both its opening and finale, a rousing sing-along symbolizing hope, unity, and resilience. Paula explains that RTM continually changes with its participants, mirroring the fluidity and growth of the rainbow family itself. The section ends with reflections on impermanence and renewal, asking whether the gatherings can endure in a changing world, and affirming that, like the rainbow that fills the sky, community and creativity persist through time and transformation. Curtis, Rebirth is a poetic meditation on renewal, transformation, and the cyclical nature of existence. Recorded at the 2002 Michigan Annual Rainbow Gathering, the piece combines mystical lyricism with introspection, suggesting that spiritual rebirth arises from confronting darkness and illusion. The accompanying verses, such as "Pierce through the veil with a prayer," "Behind that, another layer," evoke a shedding of old selves to reveal deeper truths. Interwoven reflections emphasize that life's uncertainties and creative imagination are essential forces in this process of regeneration. The section's closing imagery, referencing community bonds, light emerging from darkness, and the act of listening as meditation, underscores the rainbow ethos. Rebirth is both a personal awakening and a communal reaffirmation of love, creativity, and presence. The Walker is Walking Again is a meditative reflection on movement, mindfulness, and the interconnectedness of all life. Recorded at the 2009 New Mexico Annual Rainbow Gathering near Cuba in the Santa Fe National Forest, it opens with a quote from Matsuo Basho: "The journey itself is home," setting a tone of contemplative wandering. The narrator walks quietly through a forest, listening to birdsong and pondering the rhythm of thought and breath, finding harmony in the act of walking itself. Drawing on the Latin phrase solvitur ambulando, it is solved by walking, the passage weaves reflections on existence, memory, and meaning, describing how each step propels imagination and insight. The writer meditates on wonder, consciousness, and storytelling, suggesting that walking is both a spiritual and creative act, an ever-renewing journey of awareness and becoming. The section concludes with quotations and musings from John Muir and Buckminster Fuller, affirming that by walking mindfully, we rediscover connection with nature, with others, and with ourselves. Not the End, from Gathering Sounds, field recording with the Rainbow Family serves as a poetic and philosophical epilogue, weaving together the book's recurring themes of sound, journey, and interconnectedness. Written as both a farewell and continuation, it reflects on the cyclical nature of endings and beginnings, suggesting that closure is merely transformation, a knot tying one experience to the next. Through lyrical imagery, the author blesses the reader's onward travels, expressing gratitude and hope that the sound trails inspire deeper awareness and harmony with the world. The passage echoes the Rainbow Family's ethos of presence, impermanence, and renewal, concluding with the affirmation that the journey itself is home. It's not a conclusion but an invitation to keep listening, walking, and creating, reminding us that every ending holds the seed of another beginning. The epilogue, "See You in 5 Minutes," is a warm, humorous, and heartfelt closing reflection that captures the cyclical, timeless spirit of the rainbow gatherings. Rather than a traditional ending, it playfully suggests that both the journey and the community continue, always just around the bend or in 5 minutes. The narrator expresses gratitude to the people, sounds, and moments that shape the archive, framing the project as an ever-evolving conversation between listener, recorder, and world. Blending whimsy with sincerity, the epilogue emphasizes continuity, connection, and renewal. Each gathering, song, and step is part of an ongoing spiral of creativity and presence. Ultimately, it reaffirms the rainbow ethos that endings are merely pauses in the flow of shared experience, a brief intermission before the next story, sound, or meeting under the open sky. Part 3. Cleanup serves as the book's gentle closing movement, a reflective act of gratitude, restoration, and renewal that mirrors the physical and spiritual cleanup tradition at the end of every rainbow gathering. This section celebrates the ethos of leaving no trace, not just environmentally but emotionally and communally, emphasizing stewardship of both the land and the shared creative spirit. It acknowledges the contributors, artists, and storytellers who helped shape the sounds from the Rainbow Archive, framing their collective effort as an ongoing act of love and preservation. The tone is reverent yet light-hearted, transforming cleanup from a mundane chore into a sacred ritual of continuity and care. Ultimately, it reinforces the rainbow principle that every ending is also preparation for the next gathering, each sound, step, and story part of a continuous circle of creation, reflection, and renewal. The Contributors section honors the diverse collective of artists, writers, musicians, and visionaries who helped bring the book and its accompanying sound archive to life. It introduces each contributor with brief, character-rich portraits that reflect the playfulness and authenticity of rainbow culture. From storyteller and performer Garrick Beck, to communication scholar Kristen C. Blinn, to poet-musician Pedro Jackson, and many others, the list highlights the blend of creativity, scholarship, humor, and spiritual curiosity that defines the rainbow community. Each bio radiates individuality while reinforcing shared values of peace, art, and interconnectedness. The section reads as a tapestry of gratitude, celebrating how these contributors' talents, perspectives, and presence helped shape not only the book but the living, evolving spirit of the Sounds from the Rainbow project itself. The Appendix, Resources and Notes section serves as a comprehensive reference guide for those interested in field recording, sound ecology, and ethnographic audio documentation. It lists a rich array of online resources, such as Transom, Vermont Folklife Center, and Creative Field Recording, alongside foundational organizations like the Association for Cultural Equity, founded by Alan Lomax, the American Folklore Society, and the Acoustic Ecology Institute. The section also includes recommended archives, labels, and artists, ranging from Smithsonian Folkways and Dust to Digital to Sublime Frequencies and Mississippi Records, that have influenced the author's aesthetic and curatorial approach. Concluding with a bibliography of inspirational texts and resources, the appendix highlights the technical, cultural, and philosophical underpinnings that shaped both the Sounds from the Rainbow Archive and the book's broader mission, to celebrate listening as a creative, communal, and ecological act. The Until Next Time section of Gathering Sounds, Field Recording with the Rainbow Family offers a gentle, poetic farewell that encapsulates the book's enduring themes of connection, gratitude, and cyclical continuation. Accompanied by a photograph from the 2009 10th New Zealand World Rainbow Gathering and artwork by Elijah Hawthorne Coco, the section closes with the benediction, "Until next time, may the trail rise before you." A blessing of safe travels and renewed encounters. It bridges the creative and personal worlds of the authors, noting the serendipitous union of Kristen and Tenali, whose paths crossed through years of shared gatherings. The closing sentiment reflects the rainbow ethos of impermanence and ongoing community, that while the physical gathering may disperse, its spirit of love, creativity, and listening continues onward in every step and every sound yet to be shared.